Good afternoon. I'm excited to be here with you today for our Lunch and Learn discussion. My name is Inaviel, and I'm a community navigator here at this amazing organization, the Illinois Prison Project. Today, we have a topic that's very close to my heart, our story, moving beyond the one-sided narrative. As someone who's experienced firsthand the complexities of the legal system, having been granted executive clemency by the governor of Illinois, I understand deeply how often narratives can be shaped by limited perspectives. Today, we explore how powerful it can be to challenge these preconceived notions and embrace the full, multifaceted truth of our individual and collective experiences. I'm really looking forward to a rich and meaningful conversation with our guest. We have three amazing guests here today. I want to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. Sadie, could you introduce yourself first?
Sure, my name is Sadie Joseph. I work for North Lawndale Employment Network as a lead facilitator.
Mm, Thank you, Sadie. Um, Mike,
Hello, my name is Michael Harrell, and I am employed at Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation, a non-for-profit organization located in the back of the yards neighborhood of Chicago, South Side, and I am employed as program manager and director of reentry.
great, great. And of course, JoJo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, he called me JoJo. Most of my friends do, but my name is Joseph Mapp, and I'm fortunate to serve as the director for the Mayor's Office of Reentry.
Thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. As I said, this topic that we're going into is actually very close to my heart. Our story, which all of us can relate to, moving beyond the one-sided narrative. Um, I wanted to first pose this question to our panel today. Was there a moment? Was there a moment or experience that made you realize how important it was for you to reclaim your own narrative when you got home?
It was very important to me to reclaim the narrative that I had, which was coming home, getting a job, and getting back on my feet. Some Sometimes you have people who get in your ear and be like, "Girl, you got this X on your back. You're not gonna be able to do things." People is not quick to hire people with X's on their back, and I'm like, they're gonna have to make a believer out of me, right? So when I came home, the first place that my parole officer sent me to was a warehouse. I was there for all of 90 days, and I told him I'm not a warehouse type of girl. I got all these certifications. I got a degree behind me. This is not for me. And so he found North Lawndale Employment Network, and I came over here, went through the process, and the first thing I said to them was, do you stand on your mission statement to improve the quality of life? And they said yes. I was like, because I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you wasting my time if that's not something that you stand on.
Mm.
And so I went through the program, graduated president of my class, started down in our production area doing honey and honey skincare infused products. That was the transitional job part of it. Then I went from there. I wanted to volunteer to learn how to do CETA, helping people get their gas bill and light bill paid. And
Mm.
so then I decided to stay with NLEN. And when I stayed with NLEN, I worked with Ready Chicago on the other side of NLEN, and we took the violence off the streets. And so I stayed there for about 4 years, and then I got promoted and came to NLEN other side, where we help any and everybody, whether you got a background or not, with job readiness training, cognitive behavior interventions, and anger management. And then I got promoted from a client solution specialist and trainer to a lead facilitator. So everybody was like, "How are you just climbing this ladder
Yeah.
like this?" And I said, because I set my mind, I set my goals, and I met my goals. I was not going to be a repeat offender. I was not turning back. I wanted to be that person who stood out to say, yes, you can do this. You can't tell me you can't, because I'm doing it right now. And
Absolutely.
so that's how I broke man.
I think that moment happens often where you're constantly reminded that you will always be perceived as someone with a stigma.
Yeah.
A case in point is when I was considering a return to school to go to grad school to continue my education, I wanted to supplement my income. So I reached out to an employer that purported themselves to be background friendly. And at the time when I applied for this position, I was serving as director of reentry and program manager, and I was managing $1 million budgets. This supplemental income that I was pursuing to cover my educational costs was in the warehouse. Temporary, it was less than 5 hours a evening. Well, I applied for that role and they denied me, saying because of my criminal history, they felt I wouldn't be safe in those spaces. Now, once again, I am someone that was already in a position that headed a organization, a department, and managed uh, a major budget. What I found in that situation is no matter what my qualifications were, no matter what I did to show that I should be accepted back into society with all rights and privileges, I will forever be stigmatized by that name, by my biggest mistake. That for me told me in that place, case in point, I needed to change the narrative, not just for myself, but for many similarly situated individuals. Because as long as you carry that stigma, and as long as people look at you as a risk to be managed instead of investment to be poured into, we will always be stigmatized and have to reclaim our narrative over and over again. And that tends to be the story of my life.
Okay. Michael, what do you have to say on that?
So for me, when I discovered that I needed to alter the narrative as far as my lived experience and my life that was a major impact of being incarcerated was upon my reacclimation back to society. I encountered a number of people from different career paths, and it was this common theme or this common approach when I used to interact with them, and they would say they would have no idea that I was incarcerated previously just because of my demeanor, my candor, my approach. But when they would find out that I had been previously incarcerated, there it would be a sign of awe or shock that come across them like, we couldn't tell, we never knew that you was incarcerated. And so that gave me the pause or the hesitancy to start inquiring about what was this ever elusive perspective of like, why isn't it why wasn't it perceivable that someone such as myself may have been previously incarcerated? And many of these individuals came from demographics that aren't overly influenced or affected by incarceration. So their major interaction or understanding of incarceration comes from social media or even popular media, movie, news, things of that nature, that they have their intimate interaction with individuals or the thought of incarceration. So the popular narrative of you have these television shows like Orange is the New Black, you have these shows on 60 Days In, Lockup, Prison Break. These are some people's only interaction or understanding with the incarcerated population. And this develops their mind, their thought pattern, and their way of understanding individuals who may have been incarcerated previously or currently.
Mm.
And so with that, I decided to shape the narrative with these individuals who had no understanding or idea of what it was like for someone to be incarcerated and to be closely akin to someone that was incarcerated, helped to give them a better understanding of that. And it was clear that this overarching perspective from many people is that those who were incarcerated mostly were incarcerated due to their own lack of agency or because of transgression that they may have engaged in, that they were deemed guilty regardless of innocence or guilt. So for me, that was one of the initial understandings that I needed to change the narrative, the one-sided narrative.
Mm. I thank all three of y'all for sharing that experience because that's so true. when we talk about to challenge it, which is what we're talking about, to challenge this one-sided portrayal or one-sided narrative. Um, can you, and all three of y'all being successful in these spaces, mentors of mine, and so many other people. Could you share with us an example of how you have successfully challenged this one-sided portrayal of yourself?
So in recognizing that it's important to leverage our positionality as we think about reshaping this narrative. Many of us were fortunate enough to enter into certain rooms and be placed in a position where we have decision-making powers. And we're placed in these spaces with people who've probably rarely, if ever, come into contact with those individuals who were system impacted. So I think it's important for us first to check our privilege and recognize that there's been some time since our incarceration, and that experience changed, so we don't have a monopoly on it. It's important to constantly talk to those who are still experiencing what it means to be incarcerated or boxed out or not have opportunities as we have. So I think moving with that in mind, with that at top of mind, you begin to recognize this connectedness or this through line that every conversation you have, you're not just speaking for yourself, but you're speaking for a whole group of people who are still subject to a lot of the challenges and upheaval that we faced throughout our incarceration. Example of that is I've been working with the private sector to reshape the policies around fair chance hiring. And
Right.
oftentimes, until I tell individuals my background story, they would think, oh, you're so intelligent or you're so articulate. And then you can tell it's a shift when I add in there, oh, by the way, in addition to these accomplishments that you're patting me on the back for, I was system impacted. And that kind of changed it. But in that example, I want to be visual representation to what, when individuals are thoroughly supported, looks like and how we can achieve certain levels of success. It's not individualistic, but it's based off a community of care that we constantly stay in communication with. We constantly have spaces where we talk to one another. And because of that, when we go to other spaces where we're the sole system impacted individual in the room, we can take hold of that narrative with boldness, share our story when it's appropriate, and push the narrative a little further so it can reflect those who have been incarcerated may only been incarcerated because we was making survival decisions at the time, not because we inherently evil or that we was unredeemable and didn't have the capacity to change, because many of us and many people that were not incarcerated had experiences when they've done things that they wasn't totally proud of. And just having the ability to move from that and not be locked into that moment, but being able to tell the full story is an example of what it means to push that story forward.
Oh, he said a mouthful, dropped the mic. But for me, I work with formerly incarcerated people who's not formally incarcerated. I am in circles that people didn't think I would be in. But I would say to family members, be patient with your loved ones who's been system impacted, first and foremost. Second of all, be encouraged and know that people are on a daily basis fighting for people who are either still incarcerated, people who are formerly incarcerated, trying to make sure that they know their rights and things like that, because it's just it's important to be in those spaces, and it's important to know the language when you get to those spaces, so what you're saying is being heard and not ignored.
Individuals may encounter or may have that all factor, saying like something similar to what Joseph was speaking of, like, oh, you was incarcerated, or like, oh, like they have the belief or the perception of, okay, you speak so articulate or you're so intelligent. I cannot believe that you were incarcerated.
Mhm.
And just challenging that and presenting that I'm not unique. I may be uniquely created by our Creator, but I'm not unique in the fact that there are numerous people who are very intelligent that's incarcerated, like in spite of their incarceration, and some because of their incarceration. So that's something that I've had to challenge on a number of occasions. And more specifically, I could say that there are times where I sit on a couple different committees, and some of these committees deal with individuals that are system impacted. And some of the individuals on the committee have no intimate interactions with incarceration personally. So there'll be decisions being made in lieu of individuals who are incarcerated by those who aren't. And it's a dominant narrative of some that this is what should be divvied out or given without taking into consideration those with lived experiences who have a, a more intimate understanding of those processes. So making those spaces available to those who are previously incarcerated to have voice and to demonstrate their agency so that it's more inclusive of those, not being just dictated or things being distributed, but coming from an equitable approach of someone that has experienced those situations and have a keen understanding of what it's like to be incarcerated.
Thank you so much. I have a question. I know that we have a large vast of men that are represented in during incarceration. There's also women that are incarcerated that you really don't hear often too much for. You see strides of that taking place now, but in the past you've heard so much about the men. So Sadie, I would like to ask you this question. What would you say to that young person, that young woman that's coming out of prison, that is coming out of that, and they're trying to share their authentic self, their authentic story? What would you say to
Um, I would tell them about my experience. Be careful who you sharing your story with.
them?
And make sure that when they're sharing your story, it is your story. Don't allow them to change your story. And also get a little practice in as to what you want to say so that they're not saying you're saying one thing and then they're saying, so what you're really saying is
Mhm.
no, what I said is what I meant. Nothing more, nothing less, and I don't want it taken away from. So just to get that practice in with other organizations who will help you to get your story that you want out there, your authentic self that you want to tell out there. Um, Connect with the right people
Mhm.
and stop giving your story to people for free because we do that a lot. And hey, they want your story. They want to put it here, put it there, put it here. Get paid for your story. It's okay to put it out there a couple of times for free, but every single time somebody asks you, don't just put it out there for free because somebody had to school me on that as well.
Mhm. That's so true. Recognizing your value that you have. Definitely. And I do appreciate, like I said, being all three of y'all being mentors of mine, and reaching such great heights, doing what you're doing. Jojo, you're always someone that I'm trying to follow in your footsteps. I wanted to ask you, how difficult has it been balancing acknowledging your past and focusing on your present contributions that you're doing, not only for, system impacted people throughout the city of Chicago, but throughout for the citizens of Chicago?
Thank you for that question. Before I answer that, I want to respond back to your previous question of women telling their story.
Yeah.
The mayor's office of reentry, in which I am fortunate to head, leading the effort in recognizing that women is a population that has been underserved. So for that reason, we've released RFPs through our delegate agency, DFSS, Department of Family and Support Services, to stand up a women's reentry center. So women can have a safe space to come and express whatever concerns they may have and to navigate difficult navigate this difficult terrain as they move forth to rebuild their lives. We recognize that that's very important, and I am an advocate of women. I recognize they may be a small population, but they have a ripple effect. When you lock up a man, you break down a family. When you lock up a woman, you break down a community. And so if we're interested in building up our community, we have to support our women because they have been the backbone of our communities. Some of the challenges I've found, and the separation. Fortunately, I am employed by administration that's deeply committed to addressing the inequality that exists in our community, specifically in Chicago. And these inequalities entails reentry work, supporting our returning Chicagoans, ensuring that they are thoroughly supported just like any other Chicagoan is. So oftentimes in the space that I am fortunate to navigate, I don't see the same challenges as so many others because I have the support of administration that's dedicated to resolving a lot of these issues. Outside of that, recognizing that some people still may have challenges it can be it can be personalized challenges. I can assume or think what people are feeling about me because I may not have a PhD or because I may have not taken the traditional route to ascend to this office that I now sit in. But I recognize that can be personal. So it's important to stay committed and stay connected to a support group that helps ground you and helps guide you across many places. I also think that address those challenges, it's important to seek out mentorship, not solely from those who are system impacted, but mentorship across the spectrum so we can recognize and we can open ourselves up to not being boxed in to just a subject matter expert as it relates to reentry, but a subject matter expert as it relates to how to be supportive and a servant of the people we're seeking to support. I, there's no separation. I want to change this narrative from I don't want to get caught into the marginalized Olympics, especially in the political climate that we are in right now, where marginalized communities are being pitted one against another as if we don't have the same challenges. Although individual may be a woman and system impacted, she still faced many of the same challenges that a man faced. And so both groups should be supported. Although individuals may be system impacted, they're returning to these same disinvested communities where family members are. So family members should be supported too in this ecosystem. It's important for us to begin to think of in ways of integration and not isolation. When we begin to respond from a holistic perspective, we can widen the net and bring more people in and develop more allies around our shared common struggles. So I think it's important, not to say I would not I don't think we should stop identifying people because it's important to talk about the entry point into certain levels of struggle. But I also recognize that by enlarging and bringing allies and showing that there are common struggles that returning residents, especially those that's returning to this five highest concentration of returning resident communities, but those communities have been suffering while individuals were incarcerated. So I think it's taking a multi-level approach and recognizing that that struggle is going to continue to exist when we try to piecemeal our responses.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. It's very important. Anybody else want to add on to that, or before I go on? It's
He said it perfectly. There's nothing left to add to that.
absolutely, that was spot on. That was spot
Yeah, I
on.
can't follow that.
Oh, well, see, that's the amazing thing about, JoJo and the work that you're doing. We just appreciate you so much and what you bring to us, what you bring to us on behalf of not only the citizens of Chicago, but actually the system impacted communities, what we have to offer. When I first was released from prison in 2021, July 28th, matter of fact, it's coming up soon, 7 more days. Yes, um, it was very difficult at first for me to have, thank you, a safe space to be afforded a safe space where I would be able to ask for help, where I could get those support, we had those wraparound services. One of the things that actually was so important for me when I seen that was the work that was being done on behalf of some of the most amazing people, and which were representing organizations that I seen, and I found that, which is with a collaborative effort with Precious Blood Ministry and the People's Liberty Project. Those meetings, sitting with system impacted people, and us talking about what we've been through, our experiences, and being able to have that support and to have a safe place where we can meet. I want to bring this question to you, Michael. What role can community organizations play in creating safe spaces such as this for people to share their stories without any judgment?
I think the role that many of these community-based organizations share or that they're responsible for is providing those opportunities for those notions and for those stories to be just dictated and to be expanded out to the populace, to the population. So with a number of these different organizations that have the platform, it provides people that have the background of being system impacted the opportunity to share their narrative, but not only to share their narrative, but to have a better understanding of, as Sister Sadie was speaking about, the worth of their narrative in addition to that. Not saying that we have to be compensated all the time for it, but we should, because many organizations or many entities profit off of our narrative. They use the things that we may share or our experiences as something that is used for fundraising, is used for the acquisition of grants, is used in a number of different components to provide resources and opportunities for these organizations. So just equitable compensation. But I think these organizations, they do have the platform that could be utilized for lived experiences to be demonstrated and to be vocalized across multiple platforms. So I think that that's on these individual organizations, but a collaborative effort could be made as well. Because I was previously a part of an educational ambassadorship with Illinois Prison Project. We took the approach of reshaping and altering the narrative, the one-sided narrative. So that was something that was very useful and productive. And I think that other organizations are taking similar approaches, but I think it should be a greater approach that's done unilaterally to show that individuals who are incarcerated or who were incarcerated should not be held accountable for one or a couple of acts that may have happened X number of years ago. We all are only human and we all fall short of perfection. And understanding that second chances isn't a luxury, it's a human character. We all receive multiple chances on a daily basis. We provide those opportunities for others, and it may not be of the felony, the felonious type, but with that, just understanding that we all are members of the community and that we should be provided those opportunities in lieu of whatever transgression you may have been accused or actually like held accountable for. So I think that that's trying to be as succinct as possible.
Thank you, Michael. Sadie, what has been a safe space for you to share your story, to speak out, to be heard?
I was blessed to be one of the first people to go to Illinois Prison Project and become an ambassador for that one-sided narrative.
Mm.
So that was one space. Another space is over here at North Lawndale Employment Network. I've been here and was able to share, and for it not to be turned into something that it shouldn't have been, right? Um, Also, we did something with Lisa Daniels, but that part when I first met her was at Illinois Prison Project, and she came and we did some things together, so that helped out a lot. But this last one we just did with her, where she partnership with us for a little while, and we did the trauma, and we gathered 10 women together, and it was beautiful because I know that I needed that space to be able to talk to my formerly incarcerated sisters and brothers, right? Somebody else was gonna need that same space. And for us to be able to open the doors to her and allow her to come in and facilitate. I co-facilitated Dr. Bocanegra. She facilitated as well. It gave women a peace of mind, some healing, and we did growth, self included, right? Which further let me know that I'm gonna talk with NLEN because they like, Sadie, what do you feel you want your next steps to be now that I'm going for my master's? Yeah, I'm going for that master's in licensed clinical social work. I feel like that's what I need to do is get some space over here and be able for people to come in and express themselves who has been formerly incarcerated and some of them who haven't been formerly incarcerated, because at the end of the day, we all need that space with each other because everybody is not going to understand you. But when you get into that space where they understand where you're coming from and they understand you, it's amazing. It just makes the conversation go smoother. So yeah, I think that needs to happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, uh, Jojo, I know you had to step out for a minute, but I just want to pose this to you because we were talking about safe spaces for us. What has been a safe space for you upon your reentry to society?
Thank you for that question. So I've been able to find several safe spaces, and they all entail system impacted individuals coming together to create space together. That's Precious Blood. That's my first home. That was the first place that I found. And when the executive director gave me the keys to every door, it wasn't a limit. It wasn't. I started out as a reentry case manager, and the very fact that he gave me the keys to every door in that facility made me feel trusted and safe, and made me want to commit and ensure I was showing up every day to show my gratitude. It's been safe spaces with the People's Liberty Project, with the Walls Turned Sideways, with the Chicago Torture Justice Center, where that all work to create spaces where we can just get together and be. It's not necessarily an objective to have to uh, put on this public face, but it's to actually truly be your authentic self and not have to constantly feel you have to perform or keep a certain decorum in the spaces you're in, but you can just be. And that's the safest I've felt in a long time. I do have a social battery, and it tends to get drained a lot because we're all passionate about the work we do, and we tend to overextend ourselves and want to show up to everything. But the truth is, it feeds and fuels me when I do show up to these spaces because I am able to connect with my brothers and sisters who share a similar story, and I actually get to celebrate in their different levels of success, whatever it may be. Like, oftentimes we look at arrival in particular jobs or roles and think that amounts to success. No, just the very fact that we've walked outside that place that was not meant to humanize us, we walked out with our humanity intact. That is success to me. And every day we show up in that fashion, that's every day we move into the perfect actualization of success. The jobs and the roles are one thing, and I'm grateful for the impact, but I'm also mindful that I cannot tie my identity to one particular position.
If you could speak to someone who has been defined by their past and negative decisions, and if you could offer them a message of hope and encouragement for them to continue on, that it'll get better if you just keep going on, what would that message be? Michael, could you start?
For me, I think the message would be that this too shall pass. If anyone has any type of spiritual beliefs or foundation, understanding that some of the greatest people that we've known in the history of mankind were far from perfect and had very tumultuous and very like like what would be the best word? They just had backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like some very prominent people had backgrounds that may not have been the most respected or the most ideal, but nevertheless, they was able to overcome those situations. So for someone who has been or is being judged by their background, I would say find an opportunity to use your lived experience to your benefit. As Sister Sadie said, she's striving after her master's degree to be a licensed clinical social worker. I myself is along the same trajectory, and Mr. Joseph, he's along a similar trajectory. So trying to find the opportunity to use your experiences to your benefit, understanding that it's a stigma that's associated with certain backgrounds of certain systems, like just having a felony period. There's a stigma that's associated with that. But there are opportunities to use that stigma and to turn it around on its side and to find the underside of the underbelly. Because many times we're just looking at it from one perspective, not taking into account that it's multiple perspectives that could be used. And just to encourage them that you should not judge or be judged by one moment, maybe the worst moment of your life that you have been convicted of. So I just want to give that. And I would use a number of different people, for example, people that are presently within our midst that have used their backgrounds and their lived experience to their benefit and not their detriment.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sadie, what would you say to that person that needs that inspiration and that hope?
I would say to them to be encouraged. One thing that a person told me is if you're around the same people who doing the same thing you doing, how can you grow? Right? Find some people that you want to network with that's doing what it is you're trying to get to,
Mhm.
and network with them and figure out how they got there. Take it one step at a time, one day at a time, because Rome wasn't built overnight. Sometimes we get home and we want things to happen instantly. I'm here to tell you it's not going to happen like that, but it can happen. And keep a positive mindset. I know a lot of people be like, oh, you can't do that because you got a background. Da, 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 da. No, don't listen to that. They told me that. And I'm just going to give you a little excerpt on me. They told me, oh, well, they ain't going to let you in school because you got a background. I got my associate's degree. I got my bachelor's degree in applied behavior science. And I am in UIC right now, starting August 25th, to get my master's and to be a licensed clinical social worker. They say, well, you ain't going to be able to get your own house because I always wanted my own house. I got a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Oh, well, you got to keep on trying to build your credit. I built my credit and I got my car, 2018 Ford EcoSport. When I say the sky is the limit, that's what I mean. The sky is the limit for you. You just got to take your time and know that that's where you want to be. That's where you want to go. It doesn't matter if you're a female or a male. Well, Sadie, I don't have those job readiness skills. Well, come on over here to North Lawndale Employment Network. I'm a facilitator. I'm gonna help you out with that, right? Well, I'm stuck with something else. That's what we're here for, to break barriers. Get with organizations, know their mission statement, and know that that's an organization that you want to be in to get you to where you want to go. If that organization can't get you to where you want to go, then you need to leave that organization and go to another one. But the opportunities, the jobs, the education, everything is out there for you. What you gonna do about
Say that. Yes. And thank you so much. Jojo, what inspiration and hope would you give someone?
I think they both adequately covered the advice we should give to an individual. I would think also, oftentimes people come out with a passion to do something, that passion to give back. I would encourage people to couple that passion with education. And I don't want us to think education is just science, math, and reading, but I want us to think the whole gamut of education with emotional intelligence. Because if you don't have the ability to identify how your trauma is showing up, you can have a doctorate degree and you still will self-sabotage every space you're in. So I would say it's important to recognize we want to couple passion with proficiency. We want to ensure that you're not just showing up a particular type of way. The second thing I would say is don't measure yourself against anyone else because their journey is not your journey. You cannot say, well, this person has arrived at this particular destination and that's where I should be, when the reality is you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you can continue to build on that to get to where you want to go, but don't do it by measuring someone else's journey because that journey wasn't designed for you.
Thank you all so much for actually being a light and an inspiration to me and to motivate me. Um, I'd like to and as we conclude, and before we conclude, let me pause for a minute. Would anyone like to say a few words before I can do my conclusion?
Thank you for this opportunity, Anaviel, to speak and to just express things to other people. It's totally appreciated. And for the people who's listening or seeing this video go out, I just want to say be encouraged.
Mm.
Never allow your past to dictate your future. Your future is your potential.
Mm.
It's up to you how you get there, but take it one day at a time and know that you're going to hit some barriers, you're going to hit some obstacles. Dust yourself off, get back up, and keep pushing. That's all I got to say about that.
That's a lot. Appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else before we close?
Michael, you want that?
I just want to chime in and just add to what Sister Sadie was just saying too. Thank you for this opportunity. And hopefully that those that are watching this or have the opportunity to see this can gather some type of inspirational motivation that will help propel them into their future endeavors. I'm definitely appreciative of this. We need to continue to grow, build, to walk in step with each other, a variety of things. So I'll just keep it at that and say thank you once again.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you, and also thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to learn from such bright-minded individuals that I share this panel space with, and also thinking about those who are returning. Oftentimes we're committed to, and we look to, I need money, I need money, I need money. And that may be the reality. I am not saying that's not the case, but I want to encourage people to have a mindset of volunteerism. The way you become visible to many people is you volunteer your time in addition to working. Oftentimes, we're fooled by the point in time that we're experiencing right now. Individuals may look and see Sadie at a particular juncture in her life or Michael at a particular juncture and not recognize all the time, effort, and energy it went into getting to that location. And most of it was not compensated. So until you get to that point that you want to feel the sun on your face, you have to crawl through the mud. Don't be misguided or believe it's an automatically quick hit. You come out because you experience incarceration. You know everything it is to know. Be willing to walk into spaces and learn from other individuals and learn as much as you possibly can. I will close with that. I don't want to take up all that space, but I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you, Eleanor Prison Project, for allowing us to have this platform for to bring these stories and share this this very never seen, really, oftentimes not seen narrative of people that are have moved beyond the one-sided narrative. As we conclude our discussion on our story, moving beyond the one-sided narrative, I want to leave you with this challenge. I would ask that you please be a narrative changer. Starting today, let's commit to actively seeking out and amplifying diverse voices. When you hear a story, ask yourself, whose perspective might be missing? What others' information could broaden my understanding? Challenge the easy assumptions and dig deeper, whether it's in your personal conversations, your professional interactions, or even your consumption of media. Let's strive to build a more complete and empathetic understanding of the world around us, one story at a time. Your willingness to look beyond the surface can truly make a difference. Thank you, everyone. The resource we're digging in today comes from the Commutation Toolkit, and it's all about how to tell your story. When you're putting together your petition, your story isn't just a part of it, it's the main event. It's your shot to go beyond what people think they know and share the real, full, messy truth of who you are. This isn't just a list of things you've done. It's about making your story grab people and feel honest. You're the main character here, the hero of your own journey. And by opening up about your experiences, you help folks truly get why you are who you are today. Now, good stories have some key ingredients. As you're thinking, think about these parts. Your backstory. What was life like growing up? Were there tough times like violence and substance abuse in your home or neighborhood? Did you struggle with mental health before you got locked up? Sharing these details isn't about making excuses. It's about giving people the real picture, the human side of why you made the choices you did. Who you are now. What changed while you've been inside? What have you learned? What have you accomplished? This is the heart of your message. Talk about the person you've become and all of the work you've put in to get there. Your community. Who do you love and who got your back? This is where you bring in the people who support you. Little stories from your family and friends and mentors can really show how much you mean to others. The game plan. What's next when you get out? Where will you live? How will you support yourself? And who's there for you emotionally? Now, this part of your story shows you've got a solid, realistic plan for a successful life on the outside. This is your moment to finally speak your truth and take back your own story. I remember when I was putting my own clemency petition together, I talked about how much I loved learning and how I fell in love with Greek mythology. I even shared how I connected with with Odysseus from the Homer the Odyssey, trying to find his way home to his family and land. Those personal, relatable bits are what really sticks with people. By sharing your unique experience honestly and openly, you give yourself the best possible chance to be heard. Thank you for this Lunch and Learn, and we hope to see you next time. This will be my last Lunch and Learn with the Illinois Prison Project. Thank you. I will be taking a position with St. Leonard's House, and I will be the director of reentry there. But we're looking toward many, many, many collaborations with Illinois Prison Project and St. Leonard. So thank you, everyone. Right? God bless. No, I served some time in prison. I was sentenced to natural life at the age of 20 years old, and I was sentenced basically to die in prison, until I filed a clemency petition with the governor. And I used the toolkit from the Illinois Prison Project. And the work that they did to help get me out of prison when I got out, one of the first things I wanted to do was work for them. And I got hired as a community navigator two months after I got out of prison.
Man,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Now I'm working to help get other men and women out of prison. You can reach us at our website, www.illinoisprisonproject.org.
Okay, get you. Yes, sir.
You have a nice day, my brother.
We'll be checking in with you.
All right, definitely. Hope inspires hope. Remember that.
Hope inspires hope. I like that.